Have you ever taken the time to look at a Pokemon card? Like, really looked? There's names and retreat costs, art and flavor text. So much to look at. Well, on this episode, I'm going to be looking at a couple of Beedrill cards. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Beedrill. I like the design. It's like, your classic bug type Pokemon. And, honestly, it's pretty terrifying. The first Beedrill card I'm going to be looking at is from the year 2001. It's an old one, that's for sure. It has nice, big, thick yellow borders. It's a stage 2, and it evolves from Kakuna. And this one has only 80 HP. On the card, it says that it is a Poison Bee Pokemon with a length of 3 feet and 3 inches, and its weight is 65 pounds. It has 2 attacks. The first one for 1 grass is called Triple Poison. It says, flip a coin. If heads, the defending Pokemon is now poisoned. Your opponent now puts 3 damage counters instead of 1 after each player's turn. And then it says, if it was already poisoned. So the triple poison attack only does 10 damage. And then its second attack for 2 grass energy and 1 colorless is called Pin Missile. It does 20 times damage. It says flip 4 coins. This attack does 20 damage times the number of heads. It has a fire weakness, fighting resistance of minus 30, and no retreat cost, which is pretty good. The flavor text says it can take down any opponent with its powerful poison stingers. It sometimes attacks in swarms. And the art, dude, this art is sweet. It's definitely given me like old color pencil, nothing CG, nothing rendered. Imagine yourself like sitting in this pile of cactus. Some of them are blooming. They've got like pink blooms or yellow blooms. And they're big, like bulbous green cactus. And you're kind of like cowering in this cactus. And when you look up to this like orange sky, because it's in the afternoon, you just see this Beedrill hanging right above you, looking at you, dead in the eyes. That is the art on this card. And it's pretty sweet. Now, honestly, probably not a good card right now. And it probably wasn't any good back in the day. But I could definitely see myself building a poison deck with this one. And free retreat, that's pretty good. The second Beedrill card I have that I'm looking at is from 2004. So we're jumping up a couple years. So this Beedrill doesn't have a bunch of that text on the top of it like the previous one did. Just has Beedrill, the name. It says 90 HP, so we're getting 10 more HP. And then below its art, it has the Stage 2, evolves from Kakuna. And the illustrator on this one is Hajime Kusajima. So the 2 attacks that Beedrill has are, the first one is for 1 grass. It says Poison Sting and does 20 damage. And then it says the defending Pokemon is now poisoned. And then the second attack is called Link Needle. For 1 grass and 2 colorless, it does 50 plus damage. It says this attack does 50 damage plus 30 more damage for each Beedrill, excluding this one you have in play. It has a weakness to fire, and then no resistance and no retreat cost. And unfortunately, no flavor text. But dang, the attacks sound pretty good. Poison Sting for 1 energy, so it's nice and cheap. I personally think the previous Beedrill is probably a little bit better, since it does 30 damage in between turns. This one has the Link Needle attack, so 50 damage plus 30 more for each Beedrill. So if you have 3 more Beedrill, you're hitting 50 plus 90, So you're doing 140 damage, which I mean probably would one-shot anything back then. So I'd say that's a pretty good attack. Now the art on this card is pretty sweet. Let me pull it out. This one's a holographic. Looks like a Cosmo holo. And let's see, there's a couple Beedrill on this one. So unlike the other card where it says it sometimes attacks in swarms, this one actually has a swarm of Beedrill on it. Now, let's see, imagine that it's nighttime, it's dark outside. No, it's the sun's going down, definitely. You can see that on the card. So the sun's going down, you're in some sort of forest. There's like big leafy bushes everywhere. And pretty tall trees. And you get this close-up of this Beedrill who's just in this action pose, gliding through the sky. The Beedrill has one stinger above their head and then the other below. And the legs are up on the Beedrill, almost like it's going to be kicking, or it's kind of like gliding. And that's the kind of pose that the main Beedrill is giving on the card. And then there's a couple of others, but none of them are actually looking. You can't like see their face. They're all kind of flying away from this Beedrill. And the holo on it is really nice. The sun definitely pops. It's giving me that the new Mew card from the 151 set that recently came out. Just like that big popping sun. It's pretty. It's a nice one. Has some good like darks in it to really show that it's like the shadows on the trees. And then the coloring is really nice on the Beedrill's wings because it's purple instead of like the usual whitish, greenish Beedrill wing color. So it's good. I like it. It's definitely like a darker Beedrill card. Now, the next one I have with me is, I don't know if you would consider it to be a reprint, but it came out in 2016, and it is the same art that was used, I think, on the original Beedrill card in 98. This is from the XY Evolutions set. So it has all the old look to the card, where it has the thick yellow border. It has your Kakuna in the top left. It says Stage 2. It evolves from Kakuna, and then it says put Beedrill on Stage 1 Pokemon. Now this one actually has a level on it as well. So this Beedrill is level 32, has 120 HP. That's actually pretty sweet. In the golden text right underneath the art, it says number 15, Poison Bee Pokemon. Height is 3 feet 3 inches and weight is 65 pounds. That lines up with the first card that we looked at. So for its first attack, we have Poison Sting for 1 grass. This time it does 30 damage. It says your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. And then its second attack is Swarming Sting. This attack does 40 damage times the number of Beedrill you have in play to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It says don't apply weakness and resistance for benched Pokemon. It has weakness to fire for ×2, no resistance, and no retreat cost. The illustrator was Ken Sugimori, one of the top Gs. And its flavor text says, may appear in a swarm, flies at violent speeds, all the while stabbing with a toxic stinger on its rear. It's very scary, very scary. I would hate to meet this guy, but I'd love to catch one. Now the art is really interesting. Ken Sugimori usually does he does a phenomenal job portraying Pokemon in like the most I guess, like normal way, or most like dictionary-esque way. So the Beedrill is just standing there on the card. It's got its rear end stinger kind of pointed towards you, and it's just posed up with its arms out and its stingers basically ready to stab someone. The really interesting part about this card is the background. It definitely looks like someone went out and took a picture of like a canopy, but instead of leaving it detailed, they did some sort of filter to make it look like an oil spill. So you have this foresty oil spill behind this very hand-drawn Beedrill, and it's pretty sweet. I definitely like that. And the attacks are honestly really nice too. The Swarming Sting attack does 40 damage times the number of Beedrill you have. So you can hit for a maximum damage of 160, and that's wherever you like. I actually made a Beedrill deck for one of my like first competitive decks back in, I think it was 2017. I mean, it might not have been competitive, but it was one of the first ones that I used to like battle people with. And I actually recently tried recreating it, but getting 4 stage 2s out is like preying on a dream. It just doesn't happen. Yeah, but that's honestly a sweet looking Beedrill card. The next Beedrill card I have here is from 2019. So this is one of the Sun and Moon Beedrill cards. It evolves from Kakuna. It's a stage 2. And it has 130 HP, so we're slowly climbing. The first attack is called Destiny Stinger. It says you can use this attack only if this Pokemon has any damage counters on it. Both active Pokemon are knocked out. And then the second attack for 2 colorless energy, it's called Reckless Charge. Does 90 damage. And then it says this Pokemon does 10 damage to itself. Has a weakness of fire, no resistance, and 1 retreat. The illustrator is U Iribi. And then the flavor text says it has 3 poisonous stingers on its forelegs and its tail. They are used to jab its enemy repeatedly. So there's a pretty good theme going on for being a pretty stabby boy. Now, the first attack is definitely pretty powerful. I mean, you can just knock out your opponent's Pokemon if this Pokemon is damaged. That's pretty insane. No matter like how much HP you're hitting into, it just knocks it out. It's definitely giving me like Roaring Moon vibes for just instant KOing stuff. And then the Reckless Charge attack for 2 energy, you're doing 90 damage. It sets itself up to use Destiny Stinger next turn, which is also very good. This card is just like kind of crazy. I like it. Now the art on the card is pretty sweet. It's showing Beedrill, another like sort of close-up image. You're not getting the full Beedrill in the picture. Its wings on the back aren't they're like cropped to the right side, so you're getting a close-up of Beedrill, and it has its left stinger like jabbed outright in front of it, and at the very tip of that stinger you have what would you call that, like this kind of cross of light. I guess you could say it's like what they kind of do in comics when like people punch each other or whatever. You know, kabow, kaboom. That's kind of what is going on with the Beedrill at the end of its stinger. And you can't really tell what it's poking at. it just gets dark after that kind of beam of light. But the background of the card is really nice because it's again showing that afternoon like sunlight, and that's kind of a theme I've been noticing in these cards. The first Beedrill had that orange background. Second Beedrill had that sunset in it, and then this Beedrill also has the sunset with the clouds, with like the orange and red clouds behind it. It's nice. It's definitely more of like an action packed Beedrill, which makes sense with its flavor text. It's a good one. Okay, I'm just going to be highlighting a couple more Beedrill cards that I have here. These are all pulled from my collection. And, I'm sure there's a plethora of more Beedrill out there that I don't have. I can't collect all the swarm, but maybe one day I will. But the ones I do have, I'm pretty proud of. The next card I'm actually going to be looking at is not a Beedrill, but it's a Koga's Kakuna. So this one shows... So this card came out in 1998. The illustrator is Ken Sugimori, so you have that pretty basic color pencil look to it. So Koga's Kakuna evolves from Koga's Weedle, not just Weedle. It only has 60 HP. It's a grass Pokemon. And it says that it is a cocoon Pokemon with a length of 2 feet and weight 22 pounds. My son is actually 23 pounds. He's almost 9 months old. So I can basically understand how heavy this Kakuna is. Let's see. So Koga's Kakuna has a Pokemon power called Emerge. It says, once during your turn, before you attack, you may flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for an evolution card named Koga's Beedrill and put it on Koga's Kakuna. This counts as evolving Koga's Kakuna. Shuffle your deck afterward. This power can't be used if Koga's Kakuna is asleep, confused, or paralyzed. That is pretty nice. I mean, it's a 50-50 if you're going to get it, but I mean, not having to like search your deck using like trainer cards or drawing into it is just like added consistency. So it only has one attack. For one grass, it's called Toxic Secretion. What an attack name. It says, flip a coin if heads, the defending Pokemon is now poisoned. It now takes 20 poison damage instead of 10 after each player's turn. Cool, so it just added poison damage. That's pretty nice. It has it has fire weakness, no resistance, 2 retreat cost, and then on the bottom here it says level 21, number 14. So this is number 14 Pokemon. And then it has a little icon of Koga, and I don't think that's his badge though. I don't remember if I think it's his badge that's like behind Koga's face on the bottom right. But the art on this card is just so cool. That's honestly why I collected it too. So it shows a Kakuna in the middle, in that classic Ken Sugimori style. So you have the colored pencil on it, and then all around the Kakuna is what I imagine what they thought the evolution process looked like. Like if you think about in the games, like especially the newer ones, you have like the shining blue light that like kind of goes around the Pokemon, and that's kind of what's going on here. Except for the blue light is more of like streams, like ribbon, and it's shooting out from the Kakuna, so it's not wrapping around it at all. So you have this blue ribbon shooting out of the Kakuna with white light around it as well, and then you have a faded in Beedrill above the Kakuna's head. And I think that's like the reason I collected this card, was because you can see that Beedrill even though it's a Kakuna card. And I thought it was super cool. It's like fading in, like it's going to evolve. But it might not, because if you flip that coin and you get tails, it won't. So I thought that was cool, and I wanted to talk about that one in this. Now the last Beedrill I have is a Delta species. This one came out in 2005. So, with the Delta species Pokemon, the final evolutions, I think they are always dual type, and they're dual type Steel plus whatever else they have. So this Beedrill has 90 HP, which is not a lot, unfortunately. Yeah. It is a dual type Grass Steel, so this thing just gets melted by fire. It evolves from Kakuna, and the illustrator is Masakazu Fukuda. It has a Pokepower called Final Sting. It says once during your turn, before you attack, you may knock out Beedrill. If you do, choose one of your opponent's defending Pokemon. That Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned. Put 2 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon between turns. This power cannot be used if Beedrill is affected by a special condition. And then it has 1 attack for a Grass Steel or Grass Metal colorless Super Slash. And it does 50 plus. It says if the defending Pokemon is an evolved Pokemon, this attack does 50 damage plus 30 more damage. It has a fire weakness, no resistance, and no retreat cost. Honestly, pretty good. No retreat cost is always nice. But the Final Sting Pokepower is, I don't know, a little lackluster. I guess it depends on what kind of deck you're building, because giving up prize cards for only paralysis and 2 damage and like poison for 20 damage in between turns is like, I feel like it's just not very good. I definitely wouldn't want to just have one of my Pokemon get knocked out to do that. Super Slash is nice. You doing 80 to an evolved Pokemon, it probably does like almost close to knockout on other things, like other stage 1, stage 2 stuff. But the art is pretty sweet on this one. How would I explain this? So you have your Beedrill. It's not in the center of the card. It's just shifted a little bit to the left. And this is actually a holographic one, so the Beedrill is fully shiny. Very cool. And it has a strange pose. Imagine you are jumping with your left leg, and you're pushing your right leg or your right knee out in front, and both of your arms are like behind you. Like it's like a skip, but both of your arms are going behind. That's what the Beedrill is doing on this card. And then behind the Beedrill is this very strange building. It has a tower on the right side of the card that goes up to like a dish, and the dish has sparks flying off of it in all different directions. And then the background is a pretty blue sky that splits the card in half diagonally, and then it goes into a like dark orange, almost it honestly kind of looks like a sandstorm a little bit. So it's a very polarizing blue and orange background, with just an odd tower and a skipping Beedrill on it. But it's hollow, so it looks pretty sweet. And these older hollow cards, they don't really like when you're looking at it face on, it doesn't really hit you in the face that it's shiny. Like, you can't really see like the rays of light. It's almost like the whole card kind of just shifts in like color. Like if I rotate this card in my hand, it goes from like, a yellow or like a red to the green to the blue to the purple to the Beedrill, almost like changes color, which is pretty sweet. I like it. And well, yeah, those were the Beedrill cards that I wanted to show off today from my collection. Definitely going to be showing off some more of these guys. If I come upon any more Beedrill, then I'm totally down. Well, hope to like that, and I hope you listen to the next one. Peace.